we're gonna watch I'm gonna do a recap of a game that I played against none other than Ruslan Ponomariov, the former world chess champion. Now this is a game that we played in San Sebastian, Spain. This was a tiebreaker. We both tied for first in the regular classical portion of the event. For all those people who said that I can't play classical, here was one of the earliest examples where I tied. Now there's also some other backstory. So those of you guys who live in St. Louis, you'll probably, I guess you can't see it super clearly, so I'll turn on the board for a second. You'll notice that I'm wearing this this bright red shirt and with this sort of gold or yellow tie. Now there's a story behind that tie, which is when I won the US championship in 2009 in, I believe, May, on the final rest day before the final 2 rounds were played, I went out to Dillard's over at the gallery in St. Louis. And again, I wasn't rich at that time, so I had to just go to Dillard's. I bought this shirt, I bought this tie. I did wear it for the final round against Joshua Friedel in 2009, which I did go on to win, which won me the US championship. So there is also a story behind the shirt and the tie and some superstition in terms of why I wear this. Now I do believe I have the tie and the shirt somewhere, so maybe I'll bring it to the candidates. We'll see if I do or I don't. But there is some backstory to this for those of you guys who are wondering. But let's do a recap of this game. So it's kind of cropped poorly, but that's what it is. All right, let's go. Let's get going. All right, so yeah, shiny tie distraction, OP indeed, exactly. 1 second. So yeah, all right, so anyway, let's go through this video and let's do our recap. Here we go. That'd be an amazing sponsorship. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go. They start the clock, of course. Very, very professional, you guys. Of course, we get e4 c5, knight f3 d6 d4. Now I don't know if there's any sound on this video. There might not be sound of the actual moves. Ruslan plays e6, plays a Scheveningen. I play g4 Kara's attack. All pretty normal so far. Now Ruslan goes into a little bit of a think here. I think he's unsure between a6 or knight c6. He plays knight c6 here. Now I play h3. Logical move supporting the pawn chain. a6. Go bishop e3. Just development, very normal so far. Plays knight e5. Go queen e2, stopping knight c4, of course. Now he goes g5. Now I look away here. Even back then, I look away. Now I don't know what this. What is this? What does this look by me? By the way, what does this look? This is a little bit much. I have this very unusual stare, which I don't think I do this anymore, but definitely it's the what's going on here with the stare. So all right, let's keep going with the game. So now I play this move f4. He takes, I take back. Goes knight fd7, supporting the knight on e5. Now I think for a second, castle, logical. I don't want to go to the king side, so now I can bring the rook to f1. A lot of pressure on both the d files and the f files. Plays b5, trying to develop with bishop b7 and rook c8, maybe b4, maybe also knight c4. Some pressure here, so now I go into a bit of a think. Here. Thinking. Now I choose to play move queen f2, creating a square for my knight in case of b4. Also I have the idea of rook f1, putting pressure on the f file as well, so it's a very logical dual purpose move. So he plays bishop b7. Now I go king to b1, getting the king out of danger on the c file potentially. I always keep knight c2 and rook f1 in my back pocket. My rating here, I think I was about 2690. Maybe I was 2690, 2700, around there. So he goes queen b6, trying to pin the knight on d4. Play rook hf1, protecting the rook. Also pressure towards the pawn on f7 with the double stack. Now this game I believe was 5 minutes. This was not 3 minutes, so the moves are a little bit slower in this game. So now Ruslan plays bishop e7, tries to develop the bishop. Maybe rook f8, maybe rook h7. Both are playable. So I go bishop e3, opening up the f file for the queen and the rook, also threatening to move the knight and discover the queen on b6. So he goes queen c7. Now I was about to make a move and then I hesitate. I think my move was knight b3 or knight b5. I'm not sure which move I was looking at. It might have been knight f3 as well, actually. So So what do I do here? Actually, my rating was 2710 apparently after the tournament, so fair enough. Because it was after the tournament. So I go knight f3 here, trying to remove the knight from e5. Again, put more pressure towards the pawn on f7. Ruslan's thinking, plays rook h7 to protect the pawn on f7 with the rook on h7. Very logical move. Now I think, hesitate, come back to normal. Think. Bit of a head bob. I don't know what this, I don't know why I'm making those weird motions with my mouth, but anyway, I play bishop d4, trying to overload the knight on e5. Ruslan plays b4, attacking the knight on e4, potentially trying to win the pawn on e4 as well. So I think here I'm hesitating between e2 or a4. Finally I go to a4. Idea that if black castles the queen side, I always have knight b6, and there are going to be a lot of problems on the queen side. So that's why I put the knight on a4 versus e2. So Ruslan is thinking here. I don't know I don't know what this nodding is. By the way, I have to be honest, you guys. I mean, these are some gestures that I don't do anymore. These are some unusual gestures like I mean, sometimes I'll still do them, but it's very weird to be doing them almost as though I'm bobbing in sync to something. Very, very weird. Anyway, let's keep going. Okay, so here he plays the move knight c4. Now I play knight d2 to contest the knight on c4. Plays rook c8. Now the problem for black is the king can no longer castle. However, the king is pretty safe, rook guards, and there are two pieces on the c5, so we trade. Now I think I play b3, create space for the king, support the knight on a4. Maybe knight b2, knight c4. Knight d3 is also another function of putting the pawn on b3 here. Ruslan plays queen b5. I go knight b2, knight c4, and knight d3 are now the ideas, with the knight rerouting via b2, which is why b3 is such an important move. So he goes knight e5 here, puts the knight in the center of the board. And now again, I'm thinking here for a bit. What is with my head shaking? I don't know why my gestures are different back then. So I play bishop e5. It's very weird watching this because it's definitely different than what I do now, so it's very strange. So he takes with the pawn here. Now I go knight c4 to put pressure on the pawn e5. Knight d6 is an idea. I'm also not very afraid of black sacking for the knight on c4 here. So Ruslan is thinking for a long time. Hesitates a little bit. Now finally sacks on c4, which is a slight mistake, I think, because now I can probably bring the queen in and I should be close to winning. However, I don't believe that I did that in the game. So I know there was some kind of sacrifice later, and it was not on the queen side. So I'm a little bit surprised I didn't play queen b6 or queen a7. Oh no, I did. Oh, I did play queen b6. Never mind. I stand corrected. Never mind. So he goes queen c6, offering the trade of queens. Now here I'm thinking about whether I want to trade the queens and go into an endgame, but it doesn't really make sense because black has two bishops here, so it wouldn't be the correct decision. So I go queen a5, try and attack the pawn e5, keeping an idea on the d file as well. Ruslan thinking for a bit, trying to figure out how to guard the pawn on e5 in particular here. So finally plays f6. I go h4, idea to play g5 and undermine this pawn chain on f6 and e5 here. So that's the reasoning behind playing h4. Also maybe to open up the f file for the rook as well. You think my head was a lot bigger back then? Maybe it was. So Ruslan plays rook g7. I go bishop f3 to guard the pawn. This was 2011, you guys. He goes rook g8, and now he allows a really nice tactic. So I think for a second I adjust my tie. I keep thinking. For some reason I look really angry. I look really angry now. I don't know if it's the eyebrows or just the camera angle, but when I feel like nowadays I just look to the side, but here I'm looking to the side with sort of like a glare on my face. So I know what the sacrifice is now. It makes sense. I didn't realize it was from the other side of the board. I was up in exchange. Why not trade the queen? Because he had a bishop and a pawn, and he had the bishop pair. So I go g5 here, trying to open up ideas like bishop a5, open up a lot of threats on the d and the f file. The king on e is under attack. Now he plays h takes g5, and now I hit him with the hammer in this position. I think for a second. I'm thinking. And now I play queen takes e5, which is the hammer. Now if black takes the queen, I have bishop h5, and it's simply going to be checkmate because the king got stuck on e8. So this is a very, very nice sacrifice. The quality was so bad in 2011, yeah, but it's still a memorable sequence of games. So I play queen e5, and now Ruslan thinks here, a little bit unsure what to do, struggling a bit. Now here I go bobbing again. He goes king f7, and now I start thinking, take a deep breath, try to relax, look at the clock, get a sense of what's going on. I make a little bit of a weird face, not sure why. A little bit uncomfortable around the neck, so I basically try to adjust the collar a bit. I play queen g3 here, move the queen out of the danger zone. Again, trying to attack on the f file, the d file, and I still have bishop h5. A lot of threats here. So Ruslan goes g4. I take the pawn, not afraid of anything like f5 or the pin, because I always know that I have bishop h5 with a clean check towards the king on f7. So Ruslan is thinking here. He's thinking, and now he plays queen c5, and now I just go bishop takes e6, which is just a crushing blow. After king e6, I have queen takes g8, and the game is over. So Ruslan resigns here, and I win the first game of the tiebreak with the white pieces. So that's the first game, but that was the first game of the two game tiebreaker. Very, very tense game, but I did win. I had not hit 2750 by this time either. No, I had not.